What is happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. We are joined here today with my friend Nick's E30 M3. This is one of my favorite builds in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm finally able to bring it onto the big screen for you guys. But he's going to join us here and talk a little bit about this build, this car, the history of it, which is all very interesting, and you get to see what's inside of the car. What powers this E30 M3 is what makes it so unique. Furthermore, we're going to go for a drive, and I might even get to drive it myself, so it is going to be a good one. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. All right, guys, so this is Nick from Parks Detailing. You've seen him before and his company here on the channel, and this is his E30 M3. The first thing I want to talk about with Nick is a little bit about the history of this car because it has an interesting past. So Nick, what can you tell me about your E30 M3, where it came from and what it took to get it to where it is today?
I got this car in high school. Which a lot of people watching this are going to be like, holy shit, a high schooler buying an E30 M3. Well, circa 2006, the E30 M3 was kind of looked at as like the undesirable M3.
You could still afford it.
There was a lot of them out there that were like in decent, okay shape that were like pretty affordable because it was looked at as not special. So like the E30, I would say around 2006 was the same way. It was very much like only the purists got it. It was just not super sought after. So I had some money saved up from detailing cars, and I was in the market to buy like a $5,000 to $7,000 BMW. I wanted to get a manual E36 or an E30, something to learn like autocross and manual. I had another BMW at the time, but it was automatic, and I just wanted to learn how to drive better. I was hawking the forums at the time. Craigslist was like a big thing for buying cars then, and eBay. Those were like the three main. Facebook Marketplace was not a thing. And originally I was thinking like a non-M car, obviously, for that price range, and was just gonna do very basic maintenance to it and just learn how to drive. This popped up on eBay. It was $7,400 buy it now price, and I think they had it at auction for like $6,500 or something like that. Salvage title car. Someone got into a rear end collision, like they rear-ended somebody probably at the track. Knowing how the car came to me, it looked like it was a car that was tracked pretty often. Had a really crappy paint job, some poorly painted M stripes going across it. The S14 was actually in it, but it was running kind of on its last leg when it came to me. So my plans changed immediately. I was like, all right, not really gonna be able to autocross this car because I pretty much knew it was gonna be in rougher shape. But I looked at it as, all right, this is gonna be the never-ending project car. Because being a hardcore BMW guy at the time, I'm like, I think E30 M3s are awesome. And the fact that I could get one for under 10 grand, it was like, when am I gonna have this opportunity again? So completely shifted gears from the track car, I guess you could say, to this is gonna be a long-term project. So sight unseen, bought it off eBay. It showed up on a flatbed in my driveway, and me and my buddy Daniel were super stoked. And you know, my parents and friends at the time were like, what is this hunk of junk? You know, why are you so excited about this thing? So yeah, it's literally been 13 years of just a project car. I'm sure I'll never sell the car, but it's gone through different phases. So we took the S14 out, and my plan was to one day rebuild the motor, because we could tell it was just, it was not healthy. So at the time I found a 325 IS that had been wrecked and bought the motor out of that. There was literally a CD-ROM, and I probably still have it somewhere in my house at the time, with like pictures of how to take the motor out and how to do a 24 valve swap. So a lot of guys were doing like S52, S50 swaps at the time, and I couldn't afford an S52 or an S50 at the time. So found this M50 out of a 325 IS E36 and was gonna put that in and rebuild the S14 at another time in my life when I could afford to do that. S14 actually got stolen, so ended up with this M50 and drove it around like that for quite a while. I mean, it didn't really run well because we put it in ourselves in high school, so I had to pay a shop to like get it to where it would actually like run. But we did physically put it in, hook everything up. It just kind of ran rough, and got that fixed to where it was pretty drivable, and then got into a minor collision. It was a front end collision, so like this fender here and the hood got pushed in right here. Naturally, I was like, hey, if I gotta send it to the body shop, might as well put a new motor in it. So, you know, the car was down for really probably about a year because getting an OEM fender was like next to impossible, but got this repainted. I have a great connection with the body shop because they do a lot of work for my clients. So got them to kind of redo some of the paint as best as we could do without doing like a full restoration. I mean, my end goal at some point is to like fully strip this thing down, do like down to the chassis, rotisserie, whole 9 yards, but touched up the door jamb, some of the areas that were like really bothering my OCD. SMG. It's far from perfect, but for a driver, it's great. So we fixed a lot of the paint and dropped in an S54 out of a 2003 M3 convertible.
Nice.
It was an SMG car, converted it to manual, so I took the original transmission out. A year ago, went to CES because the original swap that was done unfortunately had some issues where I was not really comfortable driving the car too far, but finally I got into a place where I could throw some money at it and pay those guys to get it running. So
can you tell me a little bit about the basic exterior stuff, the wheel, suspension, interior, because you've done also a little bit of work to that?
Exterior wise, the car is really stock. The only exterior mod is the StarTech taillights, which these things are like unobtainium. They're very hard to get, or at least they were when I bought them. That's really the only exterior mod that I've done. I'd like to do a DTM wing at some point, carbon fiber. Actually, the mirrors, I also modified those. Those are DTM replicas. The wheels are BBS LMs. Those came from Earlrich Wheel Works here in North Carolina. He custom built them for the car. I went really conservative with the tire fitment because at the time, this was the first aftermarket set of wheels I'd ever bought for a car. So I was kind of a newbie when it came to fitment and offset and all that stuff. So I'll probably eventually do a wider rear tire because I've still got quite a bit of a gap here that I can fill out.
Yeah.
Justin Monteith rolled the fenders.
Are these 17s?
Yeah, they are. Yep.
Yeah, they're perfect for this car. I mean, it's
Thanks,
the
man.
perfect size wheel for the older chassis E30s. I also think 17s work perfectly on the E36 M3s.
Yeah.
Or E36s in general. They just are the right size.
I agree, man. I'd like to put a little meatier of a tire on there and give it more of a
Yeah, you can put a little more in there for
even
sure.
more of a race car look to it.
For sure.
But
what suspension are you on?
we're running the KW V2s. That was recently done,
Nice.
which I just looked to CES and
Yeah.
John Hinnell said, "What would you do if
What
it
would
was
you
your
do,
car?"
yeah.
And they were like, "This is the
You like the
move."
way it rides? It rides pretty good.
Oh. That I would say is the biggest, other than I guess the motor swap, the biggest difference. I mean, it completely transformed the car. I mean, with the S54, with the old suspension, it was unwieldy. It was just way too much. Now the car completely handles different. I mean, it drives different.
Yeah.
It rides very well.
In
So.
terms of bushings and sway bars and everything, is that all factory E30 M3 stuff?
Factory E30. So
Okay.
I think it actually does have iBox sway bars that I did back in high school. All the subframe bushings, everything else is
Original?
totally stock, which you can tell if you start to really push the car hard. One of those things where when you're in there, you might as well. So I've got this whole list, I want to put a new diff in
It's
it.
like you got to do it all at once.
It's so it has the stock 410 rear end from the S14, which E46 motor and gearbox is wound super tight. I mean, first gear is not usable. You will just do a burnout.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So I'd like to eventually put a new diff in it, which that would be the time to do the bushings and all that. So I've got a spreadsheet of things that I want to do.
We all do.
So,
We
yeah,
all do.
yeah.
What about the exhaust? What exhaust is on this?
So that is a CES did that exhaust.
Oh, custom?
So it's a custom exhaust.
Cool.
Yeah, I want to say MagnaFlow muffler, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice,
So yeah, it was way too loud before, so they got it dialed in. So interior is the previous owner. They did they obviously re-dyed the door cards, which it took me a while. I'll give them credit. They didn't do a terrible job because it took me a while to notice that they were re-dyed once it started wearing out and stuff. I was just talking to Jonathan. I have some door card deletes, which I'm kind of on the fence about because none of the options out there are really nice. I always want this to be a car I can drive on the street. I don't want it to be too much to where I'm I don't want to take it on a road trip or whatever. And a lot of the door card delete options out there are just a little crude, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So it's going to add a lot of noise. They don't fit right. So I'm trying to find a way to modify the ones that I bought.
Yeah.
Maybe wrap them in some Alcantara or something like that and install some handles on them, make it a little bit nicer. So
Yeah.
eventually want to replace these. The headliner could definitely use replacement. It's the original. I recently put these Corbeau seats in, which was a great upgrade. The factory seats in the E30, the recline function on a lot of them is notorious to break. So I don't know the details of the fix, but you have to re-weld some parts. And I had done that, and then they broke again, and they just were not very supportive.
Just chasing problems. These are very period specific.
Yeah.
They look like they could have came in this car.
It's common on E30s.
Yeah, they're nice though. They're Alcantara covered, and they look very OEM-ish. I dig them, man. And you can tell they obviously have a lot of bolstering and
Oh yeah,
support
they're
on the
fantastic.
edges.
It's a good again the the goal for the car. It's a good balance of like, I want it to be, you know, performance driven, but I don't want it to be like fixed back race seat where I'm like, oh, my back's killing me. Yeah, I want
as
functional.
As you go down that road, it becomes more of like a hassle to drive the car.
And you know, for better or for worse, I don't really track my cars. I just like to enjoy them. I mean, I want to go to the track at some point, maybe not with this, maybe with my F80, but like just to have that experience and learn. But like for this, I just always want it to be a nice, comfortable.
Yeah, man, it's a street car.
But fun street car.
Functional street car.
And then Sparco wheel, I recently did. You actually gave me the guidance on the wheel hub here. It's got the quick disconnect.
Yeah, the quick disconnect. It's nice. I love the rain textures on the boots and everything.
This kind of needs some touch up here. It's not really. I need to like. Yeah, some zip ties or something to make it fit a little bit better. But
and then you have all your, what do you have over here? Fans?
A couple of fans, so 2 different E fans to help with cooling, and then the sport mode, which is like a factory E46 M3. I'm pretty sure all it does is like change the throttle response. I actually keep it off because the diff is so tight that like when it's on, it's just like it's a little abrupt. So. Barely fits.
Thing is a monster.
So the car was originally Diamond Schwartz Black, which I didn't find out till I bought the car and did a little more digging into the VIN. I mean, the purchase of the car was very much a like, holy shit, this car's so inexpensive for what it is. Like, I'm gonna get it. So like, I went all in.
Oh,
like,
I would have been impulsively all over this thing.
It was at a dealer that like didn't sell like nice cars. Like, I don't know. It was just, that's how these cars were back then.
Yeah.
There was a lot of them floating around that were just so rough and not taken great care of. I didn't have too much back history on like, here's the history of the car. It was like, it just showed up and then I started pulling stuff apart and digging into it.
The swap looks very OEM. Like everything looks very simplified, and like the car could have just came with this, which I think is like the end goal for a lot of people, at least for me, when doing swaps like this in cars. You know, the chassis is obviously you know, not native to the engine, but it looks very, very good. And so you said that CES kind of did all the finishing work on this and made it to what it is now. Yeah,
they did. Yeah, they cleaned it up a lot, and there were still like, Kendall wanted to go even more down the OCD trail, which I appreciate, but it would have ultimately involved like pulling the entire harness out and redoing it from scratch. So they were able to kind of like make it work with what we had. So I'm sure if or when in the future I do that sort of full restoration type deal, this will get even more cleaned up. Like, I'd like to match the engine bay to Alpine white to the rest of the car, and then like shave some stuff and all that. But for now, man, I mean, where I'm at in my life in terms of finances and stuff, like my goal is to just keep the car running how it is, maybe do some things like bushings, a diff, and just enjoy it. Yeah, because I know that no matter how much money I throw at it, when it comes time to do that, the car's going to be down for a very
It's easy to go
time.
down that rabbit hole of like thinking you need to perfect the entire build right away, and then you kind of miss out on actually being able to enjoy the miles on the car.
I agree, man.
Well, it looks amazing, man. You guys did a great job on it. You thinking about throwing the CSL, the carbon airbox on here?
That's on the spreadsheet. So
that spreadsheet is extensive.
Yeah, so like I've kind of weighed the different options. Like there's the ITV route, there's the carbon airbox route. You know, I think cams, either ITVs or a carbon airbox and a little bit of ethanol would make it a really cool in a high horsepower build. So CES tuned it, I think, through Nick G.
Nice,
I believe.
He did my E36 too.
Nice.
Yeah, he's solid when it comes to these.
It's been fantastic, man.
That's awesome, man. You said it's making 315?
Yeah.
Dude, this thing is fucking wild.
It's awesome.
This thing's wild.
It's so rad.
I would kill to have this car. I want it so bad. Oh, dude, this thing is peppy. Like hardly any gas.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no, this car's fun, dude. I would have so much fun with this car.
It's ridiculous. It's such a good driving experience, man. I mean,
these mirrors are interesting.
They're hard to drive with.
Very hard.
Honestly,
These are very hard to
I
drive
just
with.
turned my head.
Yeah,
I just look because I'm like,
better off
it's.
No way, dude.
The
It's
brakes,
good.
The brakes are so bad though.
Yeah, they're bad, but it's this car is great. This thing is sick, dude. But it's such a fun little car to drive. Like the characteristics of the chassis with the engine are fucking great.
Yeah.
Like it's just a great match.
It is. I really do feel like if you're gonna motor swap one of these, you know, the S54, because I mean it kind of has that S14 high revving characteristic to it.
All right, so that is Nick's E30 M3. What an interesting car. I really feel like I might need to have something like this, like a variation of this with an S54 in my garage in the future. But I wanted to thank you, Mr. Nick, for coming on the channel and letting us experience this beautiful car and what a cool story it has.
Nick Parks, I'm located here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I own Parks Detailing and Parks Car Care. So I have a service business that, as Jonathan mentioned, we do PPF, ceramic coatings, detailing. And I also have Parks Car Care, which is primarily an e-commerce business. We sell pretty much all the products we use, prep chemicals to the polishes. We're gonna have polishers soon, which you'll see on Jonathan's 1M video coming up here soon. Anything you can think of to detail the car, we sell it. We actually also offer it locally as well. We've had some of your followers have come in, so pretty cool to see that.
And they also have a YouTube channel. So if you're interested in checking out the videos that he makes on all the products that they offer and the techniques that they use over there at Parks Detailing, I'll have that link down below. But that is going to wrap up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace. See ya.